You ready? We'll find out. Okay, this is the Roads Advisory Committee meeting for January 28th, 2026. It's the first one of the year, so Happy New Year to everybody. So we will do the roll call. John Steele? Here. Jim Cox, no. Richard Daniel, no. John Durkin, no. Matthew Ettinger? Michael Garcia? Curtis Kelly, no. And myself, yes. Okay. Please stand for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yep. So we have a public comment from Mr. Blagden. Do you guys have that email in front of you there? So he looked at the progress so far, I guess, and he's concerned about clearing and grubbing. Is it complete, clearing and grubbing?
Clearing and grubbing is not complete yet. We were actually meeting with the contractor this afternoon to kind of go over clear and grub and some of the areas where there's still a pretty tall vertical cut and how to address the vertical cuts. Really specifically on Dorothea. Dorothea is pretty steep, so there's some larger cuts over there. So they're not done with the clear and grub yet. They're still in the process.
So you'll take care of some of the issues he brought up here then?
Yes, yeah. Also shared the comments with our inspector as well.
And what else is he? Is that it?
I have one question about his information. The turn signal on Avocado Crest.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a turn signal that turns on the Avocado Crest heading south off of Hudson? Is there an arrow?
Say that again? What's your question?
Well, is there an arrow as you're heading south on Hacienda, turning on the Avocado Crest? Is there an arrow?
A left-hand turn?
Southbound Hacienda onto Avocado Crest, there is an arrow.
Yeah, coming this way.
So he makes a complaint was it doesn't go on right first.
He says it doesn't go on for just one car.
It comes on when there's 3 cars stacked in there. So the third car is the trigger for it. That way, it's a yield on green. So as you're coming southbound, you can yield on green to make the left onto Avocado Crest. The signal will trigger it at the third car to turn green. So when the southbound becomes green, if there's 3 cars in that turn pocket, it will turn green to allow people onto Avocado Crest. Yeah. That one comes on for just one car. We don't seem to have as much stacking on that one, so that we don't usually stack that many cars on that one.
Well, the issue to one on Avocado Crest is if indeed there's a lot of car coming north, okay, and there's only one car waiting there, they're going to sit there for quite a while because the turn signal's not going to come on. So that's one complaint I've heard from a lot of the residents.
I think people are getting more used to not turning right against the red light onto off Avocado Crest, heading towards Hacienda.
People seem to be getting a little. Yeah, we seem to be getting a little better about not as much the right turn on red from Avocado Crest onto North Hacienda.
There's still people doing it, yeah. Okay, any other comments, questions? No other public comments?
Not at the moment.
Okay, take a minute to review the minutes of our last meeting. Oh, we have a couple of them, right? October and December. So let me see. So we don't have enough to approve October.
The same might be for December.
And we don't have enough for either one, right? So,
Yep. We'll hold them for the next one. I know, I think, Committee Member Kelly might miss this meeting and maybe next meeting, and then should be back after that, Curtis.
okay. Okay, so getting into the administrative items. So our current project, which you thankfully provided the schedule for?
There's a schedule there for you guys to look at. They're always ever changing. Some of the street segments may get rearranged. We're in that process of looking at street segments and grind and overlay processing, and they might be shifted a little bit here or there depending on the needs of the project and or our wants to do potentially do East Road last. So we're moving them around a little bit, but so far they have been out clearing and grubbing. So all the USAs have been completed. We were originally going to install a drain at Avocado Crest at the very west end of that limit, just past of Lamont. But there turned out to be a gas line right where the drain needed to go. So our inspector and engineer and contractor have been out, looked at a few different options, and have a different option that they were going to do at that location to address some of the way the water settles and the water comes down and goes up and over the curb and driveway of the resident that's right there. So they're going to be doing a little bit of a different berm and drive approach as they come along there, since the drain won't be able to get installed at that exact location. And there's a shared driveway across the way that they're looking at as well to help divert the water so it flows a little closer to the drain, not as close to the street where the driveway is for that particular resident. So they spent a little bit of time over there, Grace and Gerald, along with Bob, our inspector, and the contractor and the foreman, looking at those particular locations early on in the project for that one. So that one's gone on. I think Committee Member Garcia saw him out there a little bit working.
Yeah, that driveway you mentioned across the street from there is my shared private road. And in the past, we have put a berm at the base of the private road to try to divert that water a little further towards the drain. It's worn out over time and needs to be rebuilt. Maybe we can build it up a little bit more than it was built before to keep that water moving past the residents right below,
Yeah.
over towards the drain, yeah.
Yeah, Gerald is looking at some options with the contractor to maybe redo that berm a little bit there to keep the water kicking over over time. Driving over those, they'll compact a little bit.
We should talk, because I probably need to redo that driveway at some point in time in the future, and we should probably, get some synergy and do it all at the same time.
Definitely, yeah. But they've been out doing a lot of clearing grub. We did remove, there was a buried, abandoned pipe on Dorothea, so they went through the process and they removed that pipe, backfilled that area. All the clearing, they've been clearing and grubbing, like Dorothea, Avocado Crest, Tuman, all been working to do their clear and grub. They'll move on to working on East Road, Fullerton, and the east skyline will be the next where they'll be doing their clear and grub. They're going to be coming back to the other areas where clear and grub when they're in the grinding phase. So they'll be doing a little more clear and grub work as part of the grinding operation when they're running the grinders, and that they'll be in there clearing a little more in those areas as well. The next operation that they're going to be moving into is over in the Pepper Tree neighborhood. It has a different type of swale. They call them Hollywood berms. The way there's a little swale on the edge of the streets. There you have to grind those and then pave those and then do the street section. So they'll be starting that work tomorrow, doing the berms over on Pepper Tree and Bonita and that little neighborhood over there. And that will be the next one that happens. They've already poured a concrete curb on Fullerton Road. Was poured at the end of last week and is ready for the little bit of slot patch that goes along with it. And then once we grind and and overlay over there. It'll tie in nicely to that area. It's in a location where we had some washout from the last big storms in 2024 in that particular area. So moving through it, and then kind of early February is where the bulk of the actual grind and overlay will happen. So they will start moving through the project, grind. After the grind operation goes through, the inspector and Gerald will mark the dig outs. They'll come back through, make all the dig out, the over excavate and repair, and then they'll follow back up with the paving operation to pave it. So some of those street segments may get adjusted a little bit. We are going to make a change to potentially make a change on East Road. Right now, there's just a small section of East Road that was in the plan to be repaved, kind of over where the Avocado Grove is, in that particular stretch over there. We're actually looking at not paving the full section of East Road, but actually doing the eastbound lane from Tuman to Coban. That stretches in pretty rough shape all along there as it runs a little closer to the water course, so it sees a little more erosion. There's a couple of trees that have been lifting the asphalt in that section that will probably remove those trees, and we're working with the contractor right now to get a price to do that part of it, so we can at least repair that eastbound lane of East Road between Tuman and Coban to make it a little bit more cleaned up.
Going back to the overlays, you're going to do the overlays like on Avocado Crest all in one day? I thought, aren't you going to do one lane at a time?
The smaller roads, they'll end up doing the full width the same day. They'll let you on pretty quickly thereafter to it. And some of those, like especially Dorothea, it's pretty much the width of the paver in some of those areas is the entire road to it, but they're going to try and do Avocado Crest. They'll make one path down on one side so they can flag people down the other side of the paving and then come back and do the second swap.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about Avocado Crest, right, because that's pretty well traveled, so.
Yeah, the contractor, when we're ready for those, they'll put out some A-frames kind of in that area a few days ahead to let people know that we will be doing grind and when the paving operation happens. So as people kind of travel through, they'll understand what day those things will be taking place on.
So you can do all of Avocado Crest in one day?
They're going to try. We'll see how it goes. There's always the first bit of grinding is kind of sets the tone and the pace. I think sometimes the contractors they think they can just get in and go and don't necessarily realize how difficult it is sometimes to get equipment around the streets and things. So the street part of it and the grind and the overlay will probably change once they get into the first bit of work.
Okay, we'll see.
It's a lot to pave in a day. Yeah.
You guys have any other questions, comments on this project? Schedule? So the construction, we're talking filling or finishing with striping and everything is probably mid-March, right?
Yeah, mid-March is probably when it's gonna take place for the final bit of it.
Weather permitting.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of rain. We had the one bit of rain that happened after we did the first initial round of clearing grub. We didn't see too much erosion from it, which is good. But yeah, we've been watching the weather. We got a nice little window here for the next few days, and they're going to try to dig in and get working hard. Once we kind of narrow down some of the street segments for grind and pave, we'll let you know if you want to come out and see the grinding operation and the pave operation. That way we can give you like a good date and street segments, so you can see if you wanted to come check it out. We can go out there with you and let you check out the grinding operation and the paving operation, and so you can kind of see that part in action.
Is this the first project we've done cold mill?
No, anytime we do grind and overlay cold mill.
Okay, I've never seen it mentioned before. So.
Usually we talk about as grind, just grind, but cold mill.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? You guys need more time to look at this? No? All right. We'll follow up on it. Okay. The traffic signal we talked about, right?
Traffic signal is pretty well complete. The last piece of it was there was an issue with one of the battery backups. That is back from the manufacturer with a replacement, and I think is being installed next week. And that should be the last item for that one. We have the final bill, and it should be going to council for closeout for traffic signal and all the striping on Hacienda. So we can finally close that project out. It's been quite a while.
Oh, yeah, speaking of striping, I think you mentioned in the previous meeting that coming down Citrus, the Avocado Crest intersection, you're going to change that lane turning thing?
Yeah, it's currently out to bid right now. So hopefully we should have the bids back before the next council meeting so we can award that contract to contractor to re-stripe as you come north on Citrus to Avocado Crest. It's going to be tightened a little bit and some delineators added. That way, it's kind of awkward the way those two streets come together. So not everybody coming on Citrus comes perpendicular to Avocado Crest to kind of see traffic going down both ways. They kind of come at an angle, which they don't necessarily always see people coming up and down the Avocado Crest, or see people coming up Avocado Crest and maybe think they're going to stay on Citrus and not on Avocado Crest, and then come out. There was an accident there this morning in that stretch. So it's currently out to bid, and we should hopefully have the bid. I think the bids should be due on like Monday, so we'll have it to the next council meeting to award.
Yeah, I always hurt my neck trying to look over to see if there's anything coming down.
You know, I mentioned this last year that the lines on the road don't stop people from doing the wrong thing. And people coming down Citrus towards Avocado Crest, they don't follow the lines, make the turn, get perpendicular right there where the stop sign is. They just blow straight through, and that's what that guy did today that caused the accident. And I believe that he admitted to the police that he just rolled through the stop sign, as everybody does there. My suggestion before was that we put some sort of standards that would force the cars to do the right thing and avoid those head-on collisions like happened today.
Yeah, we'll put delineators in, so the tall posts. We're looking at like a spacing of 5 feet, so it's not quite enough for people to sneak a car through. It doesn't necessarily stop motorcycles, but keep a car from sneaking through it. Tight enough to where it will force you to go. It may make it harder to make the left onto Avocado Crest, but you know, it's
Not
better.
difficult.
It's better to try to force them perpendicular to the road and look.
It's not difficult when you follow the rules of the road and you stop at the stop sign.
Yeah.
And look both ways.
Yeah.
I've seen people blow past cars that are waiting at the stop sign and waiting for the traffic to clear. 2 cars waiting, and I've seen cars go around them and straight onto the wrong side of the road on down Avocado Crest.
Yeah.
Yep. Guardrails.
Guardrails, we have had a round of comments to the engineer on the plans. They just sent those comments back to Gerald, and he's taken a look at to see if they addressed the comments that he had on the plans. Most of it was related to end cap treatments and widths behind the guardrails to make sure that the hinge points are correctly shown. If there's any recompaction or additional material needed behind those, it needs to be called out in those bid plans and on the plans. So Gerald's going through the plan check process right now to get them looked at and make sure they addressed all of his comments. And then when they have those, it should be pretty well ready to bid.
I got a suggestion. I know it's cost prohibitive to put guardrails on a lot of the roads where we have, drop-offs and so forth. But I suggest we put the reflective white striping on the shoulder road there. Roads like Reposado and some of these other roads that are pretty well traveled, and there are drop-offs there. I think probably the next project after this, where we may have more funds to do that, we should consider that. Because I know there's, some roads, it's like what we did off the Las Palomas with the V-ditch. I mean, that striping there at night makes a big difference. I mean, like tonight coming down here, right? Mm-hmm. It really makes a difference when you've got another car coming the other way, how far over you go. Yeah. So we should consider that in future projects.
Definitely, yeah. We usually only add it to like the larger collector streets.
Right.
But yeah.
Along those lines of reflectors, I noticed some flashing yellow lights on the side of the road on East Road as you're approaching and passing the gate of the golf course there.
Yeah.
Was that done by us, the city, or was that done by the resident?
That was done by the resident, not by us.
Done by who?
The resident.
That's kind of dimmed down a bit of late.
I think it's a good idea. It shows you the corner.
There's been a lot of people who have driven off that corner. That pole has been hit a few times
Exactly.
in that
yeah.
location. Yeah.
Okay. Future roads funding, I guess, with all the workshops we've been talking about, we may see some significant funding differences going forward, right? If indeed city council votes to make an assessment on the next election.
Yeah, council is currently looking at all of our funding sources right now. We've sort of completed all of our departments or big major money spends. The city does as part of the budgeting projects, so fire department, sheriff's department, law enforcement, roads, and we just completed administration, so city operations. At the mid-February, we'll have the sort of the capstone workshop to kind of look at all of those funding sources and the needs across all of those areas and our available funding, potential funding, and look at various options for us to look at. And council kind of talked a little bit, maybe looking at a ballot measure or a parcel tax or something to be able to make sure that all of those things can be appropriately funded and we have enough money coming forward to make sure that we can stay as a city, keep doing the things we need to do, and have money to operate, as a lot of other ways we receive funding has changed. And we're seeing some of the other funding sources that we have decline.
Yes, so we'll see what happens there, okay, going forward.
Yeah.
Roadside clearance.
So we're in the prime example of it right now with the clear and grub. So contractor has been using a backhoe as their primary tool to remove that clear and grub to it, to make sure we can get it out of the roadway. I know last meeting we had, Mr. Dominguez was here to talk about some of the mappings and things he did. He happens to live in an area where we're doing a street project and started to chip away at the hillside himself to get ready to like clear it out, and I think realized that it's a lot of work to do that. And he was kind of like, they're coming through, they're going to make the pass, so we're going to clean up the edge on Avocado Crest. And I think he was thankful for that. We have over our matrix we put together to our code enforcement attorney to kind of look at process to make sure we can build in the adequate process to it, so we can bring you back the full sort of timeline, like a code enforcement type timeline if we went out and did abatements of that and charged it back to properties, what that full timeline would look like, including noticing and all of those aspects, going to court, getting warrants, all of that.
Would that be included as part of the brush clearance project?
It could be looked at as we're looking at as being looked at as part of the brush clearance operation. It would probably be a joint between brush clearance and code enforcement to do those things, just because like when they're heavy into the brush season, they focus a lot on the brush and getting the brush out. As we've kind of talked about, there's a lot of things that are growing out into the roadside. Also looking at the height of things being trimmed up. The new engine is in service. It's slightly taller than our old engine. So there's a lot of trees and bushes, tall bushes that kind of, bend over the street that are pretty low. So I think that's going to be one of the things they look at a little closer this year in the brush inspections is the roadside clearance and some of those aspects.
Mr. Edinger, you have anything?
I have a broken mirror group, do we have brush coming over the road?
Okay,
Just think about setting their property on fire. So that stopped that.
okay. Could I add an item? PMP.
So PMP, we are in the process. All agreements are everything signed and executed with Bucknam. We had our kickoff meeting. We're in the data dump of dumping all the data to him right now. They will be out doing the street surveys in February and March is kind of his anticipated timeline of them actually being out on the streets, be February into, mid to late March potentially.
This is Buckner, right?
Yep. And then, so they will be out doing the actual surveys of the roadways, looking at the condition of the pavement, and gathering all the data that's needed to build into the system. It'll give us an idea of our total PCI, so what our PCI is now. The last time they actually measured the streets was in 2021. So it's been a little while since we've done that. I think we have done zone 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 currently right now. So all of that will get calculated into this one to it. So hopefully in like April is his idea of having a draft of the PMP for us to start looking at and commenting on.
Oh, about when?
April.
So they're going to come in and give a presentation?
He'll come in, give a presentation like we've done in the past, kind of talk about materials, treatment types, how they do the survey work, and we'll also get into a little bit about phasing and scheduling and looking at how to keep going at a pace. If we wanted to look more aggressively at doing more, we'll kind of work through all those options. They usually give us a couple of schedules that kind of look at what we do with our typical funding sources if we add a little more money to it, and one if we don't do very much, what the cost of the backlog of that aspect of it.
How are you going to estimate how much money it's going to take?
We'll kind of, when talking with him right now, we'll kind of keep with what the projects have been lately and stick with that dollar source. And then we kind of talked about if we do make a change here in the near future, we could go back and readjust with him, and he would adjust.
So give a budget of about $1 million, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we're really giving a budget of about $1 million for it. And then if we do increase funding in the near future, he said we could come back with those dollar amounts and we could tweak the forecasting.
Okay. You guys have any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I got a question. Going back to the comments we got from Stephen B., what's the feedback loop to Stephen as far as letting him know that we received his comments and this is what we're doing about it?
Well, clearing and grubbing, they're going to address that, right? Because they haven't finished that.
Who is?
The contractors.
But
Yeah, they're not quite done with clear and grub, so we'll have more clear and grub to still do out there in the future, and then we'll talk with Stephen about kind of where we're at project-wise, not completed yet.
yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Who's got the action to give the feedback to Stephen to say, hey, this is how we're addressing your concerns?
I'll usually talk to Stephen, yeah.
Okay? Any other comments? Okay? Go for it.
I would like to see a little more exposure to this organization that we have. And I think that lost contact with the residents. Some of them don't even know that we meet. Roads and the height. That's the arteries, that's the vessels. That's what runs the city, is the roads. And yet, look at this.
About a year or so ago, I provided a synopsis of this Roads Advisory Committee, of why it was formed, how it was formed, and all the particulars and so forth and so on. And I gave it to some of the Improvement Association to be included in Heights Life, but nothing happened. So.
We need to kind of pursue it.
Yeah.
Somewhere, somehow, maybe it's up to the city. I really can't imagine that all the residents in this city, not one person still lying in the city. That's a little bit of a group.
I can let you know that I did speak with our current mayor, Mr. Bergman, today, and it is going to be one of the items that we're featuring in the mayor's column for. It'll be next month's issue, but they're working on his mayor's column for next month, so he's in the process of writing it. So we are going to include some information about the roads, the current project, and the Roads Advisory Committee as part of that mayor's column.
We don't know what's going on in the city truly minute by minute, unless somebody shows up and says something about their street or their trash can or their mailbox or something of that nature. It's called public relations.
Your concern isn't just for the Roads Advisory Committee, because
Roads advisory.
there was a, not a town hall, but what did we have just a few Saturdays ago? A workshop, and that was well advertised. I'd seen it in flyers and in the mention in the Heights Life and such. There were only 3 of us that showed up, 3 people. So we have to figure out a way to get our residents more engaged, not just awareness of this committee, but everything that's going on in the city.
Well, I think it's the city manager's fault. He has just smoothed everything out so much. There's no complaints. Trust me, when, we start raising the taxes to promote these roads, we'll get people here.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? No?
There's going to be the yard sale's coming up. Easter egg hunt is coming up. Speaking of Improvement Association, Easter egg hunt is coming up. The yard sale is also going to be back this year. So if you have stuff you'd like to sell, hang on to it. We are going to be having some applications here. You can also have a little more information will be going out through Improvement Association, Guac Talk, the website related to the yard sale.
On the,
One thing I have noticed is a lot more traffic on East Road.
on the subject of the yard sale, do we have any way of helping the residents get their things down to the park to sell? A lot of people don't have trucks.
That's a good point. Not something we had thought about or considered, but we can kind of talk with the Improvement Association and also see if we could put some feelers out there. If people can help, get stuff down there. Getting things there and unloaded and loaded can take a bit of work. Typical yard sale things. It won't be anything new. It'll be, used items. Grace is arranging for us to have a roll off there. Yeah. And they're looking at donation places as well if people can donate.
I could rent out my truck if I ever get it back. Okay? Okay, next meeting is February 25th, right?
Yes.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.